Helen Martins was born in the isolated Karoo village of New Bethesda in 1897. She was the youngest of 6 children. At 23, she married Johannes Pienaar, a charismatic school teacher who later became a politician. The couple found work in the distant town of Volksrust. Together they explored the world of amateur theatre. Helen's vision of romance and travel, however, ended in betrayal, separation, and finally divorce in 1926. Details of the intervening years are vague, but in her mid-30s, Helen Martins, as the youngest and unmarried daughter, reluctantly returned to New Bethesda to care for her ailing parents. The children had been fond of their mother, who died in 1941, but their father was apparently a very moody and difficult man. Early signs of Helen's willful determination appeared when the elderly father was removed to a windowless outside room. After he died in 1945, she painted the room black and named this the Lion's Den. Alone, middle-aged, and nearly destitute, Helen had been abandoned by her romantic dreams. Lying ill in bed one night, with the moon shining in through the window, Miss Helen, as she became known, resolved to bring light and colour into her life. She had no overall plan, but what began as a decorative quest soon developed into a fascination with the interplay of reflection and space, of light and dark. Miss Helen hired local workmen to do structural modifications, mostly replacing original windows with the vast panes of glass that would bathe her home in multicolored hues of light. Helen's simple decision to embellish her environment grew into an obsessive urge to express her deepest feelings, her dreams, and her desires. From the mundane articles that surrounded her, she created a symbolic language of sun faces, owls, and other images. When Miss Helen turned her attention to the exterior of the house, she went again to the builders and handymen for assistance. Piet van der Merwe, Jonas Adams, and finally Koos Malgas were invited to try their creative hand with cement and glass. Koos Malgas very quickly developed techniques for working with these difficult materials, and before long he was regularly employed. Over a period of about 12 years, she and Koos Malgas created from her imaginings the hundreds of sculptures and relief figures that crowd the camel yard and cover the walls of the house. A procession of shepherds and wise men lead a vast, almost life-size camel train towards a humble nativity scene. Miss Helen was inspired by the poetry of Omar Khayyam, the works of William Blake, and had a deep fascination for religious imagery. An arched entranceway from the street, watched over by a double-faced owl, is significantly barricaded by a wire mesh fence and tall cacti. Like the bottle-skirted hostesses within the yard, this arch must have been intended to welcome visitors into her land of mystery and enchantment. But the fence speaks plainly of an increasingly troubled relationship between Helen Martins and the outside world. The few friends that she had describe her as an intensely passionate person who became animated and excited when discussing her latest ideas. The yard is dotted with sphinxes, Buddhas, and sanctuaries of tiered glass bottles that Helen called her meccas. The highlight for any visitor, enacted with great ceremony, was the illumination of Miss Helen's world by her vast collection of lamps and candles. In order to pursue her vision, Miss Helen had managed to endure great physical and emotional hardship. That is, until her eyesight began to fail her. On a cold winter's morning in 1976, at the age of 78, Helen Martins took her own life.